is
one.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to the first Explorer call of 2022 here at Aira. I'm Janine Stanley. I'm the Director of Customer Communications. We have with us tonight the man behind the curtain, Mr. Ryan Bishop. Hey, Ryan.
I'm the head of making things work here.
That's right. He's the head guy of making stuff happen.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here today. Happy
Yay.
January 2022. Gosh, I almost said 2021.
Yeah. We also have our Chief Marketing Officer, which is your new title, Sandy Marcus. Hey, Sandy.
Hello, everybody. And I have to say, that is the perfect title for Ryan, in charge of making everything work. That is perfect.
That is perfect.
That's pretty much been the theme of today for Ryan, too, just
That's
making
right.
stuff work.
That's right.
Yeah. And then we also have, who just joined us here, our boss of everything, CEO Troy Otilio.
Hey, Ryan, I think we're going to change titles. So I'm going to be boss of everything today. It's a big
boss of everything. I see.
I'm set up for failure, right? Because if you're boss of everything and things break, then anyway. Hello, everyone.
I'm the making stuff happen. So that's,
All
right. That's a two sides of the coin kind of. Both of those are two sides of the coin kinds of titles, right? When everything's going great, they're great titles to have.
Right?
The other side of the coin is just ugly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So before I turn it over to Troy to give you a couple words about, Aira and the new year, I wanted to make a couple announcements, and these are good things. These are kind of catch-up announcements for everyone. So our first one is our holiday promo. I wanted to announce the winners. Who were our winners of the holiday promo? Yay. These are the two people that used the most access offer minutes and most access offers actually during our holiday period. And those two folks are Kimberly Cannon from the United States and Amar Latif from, I believe he's from Great Britain. He works with a company called Travelize, which is exciting. And then the gentleman who won our CEO award for the most new offers used by someone for the first time is Mr. Juan Sosa. And so congratulations to everyone who won. We had winners from both the US and internationally every week for 6 weeks. And we had 53% more access minutes used than we did last year during that time. So that's really pretty huge, folks. And thank you all for coming out. And if you tried our access offers for the first time, or maybe tried some that you had never tried before, thank you for doing that. And thank you for showing our access partners some love. And Troy, I'm going to turn it over to you for a couple words. And what have you been up to lately?
Well, I just got back from a conference really focused on aviation and airports, and that, I'll share a little bit about that. Some interesting findings, and I know a lot of us are trying to use airlines a little more, including myself, and so I'll share a little bit about that. What else have I been up to? I think, like a lot of us, if we look back the last month, there was the holiday period and New Year's, and frankly, I'll share how it's great to connect with my full family. I have 3 daughters and my wife, and it was just great to, as how the weather here in San Diego is always nice, but it's been a little colder, which we appreciate, because then, we get to huddle inside and, maybe watch some TV and what have you. But, there's been some family. And then, frankly, the big lift has been planning for 2022, which is here. And, we have our plans, some which I can share, but ultimately, one thing you should all know is that Aira's on better footing than it was the year before, and even since the start of the pandemic, we're on our best footing ever, which is to say, we're getting increasing support from industry and access partners, and we still see our user base, growing, and we see, like, in the daily calls, and whether it's how you rate them, or, in my case, I get to review some of the sessions. I can see that, we're continuing to provide service but now to more people. And frankly, we all, it was a great year in terms of when I look back on the outcomes. But for 2022 now, It's about, our new desktop product, which we've talked about. I'm sure many of you are like, well, hurry up and deliver it. I can tell you, we're starting to do some very limited testing. It's still going to be a little while because we want to make sure we get it right. But it is definitely, what do we like to say, Sandra? You like to say, is it percolating like coffee? It's definitely on the stove. It's definitely
I do say,
cooking.
yep, it's definitely perking like coffee.
Yep. So that's exciting. But I think I'll say, I'll share just a little bit about aviation and airline industry and what it means. So many of you may or may not know our very first. So we started as a subscriber model. Like, hey, we're gonna have a professional service. We're gonna have professional agents. We're gonna hire the very best engineers. We're gonna create this service that includes glasses. We're gonna go to the VCs. We're gonna get a lot of money to help us get over the hump of being profitable, and we're gonna do it by charging, Explorer subscribers, ultimately to pay for the service. And I think we all know, like, there's a limit on that ability, right? Like that, from a financial perspective. And then we came up with the idea, well, maybe corporate America, maybe government, maybe others want to help share the cost. And our first attempt was an airport. It happened to be Memphis Airport, and you're like, well, why Memphis? Well, I could tell you why, but it's ultimately where we started. And since then, we've landed about 40, 50 airports. Well, I got a chance to go meet with the organization that helped us get started a couple of weeks ago at a conference where the conference was focused on problems and issues in the aviation business. But why I'm talking about it relative to Aira is because you're going to see us take together with this, it's called the American Association of Airport Executives. But it's airport leaders, CEOs of airports, it's airlines, it's TSA, it's everyone in the aviation space. But by going there, I realized, first off, domestic travel is rising. And at the same time, there's a real labor issue. TSA, airports, and I think we all know this, like everywhere you find these pockets of, what do you mean there's no one here to help me? Like, where's all the people to, if you go out to dinner, perhaps maybe service a little slow. Well, labor is just a challenge. And what they like about Aira is they trust that we're doing a great job, and they don't have to deploy the labor or make changes. And there's also renewed interest in creating a better experience from the airlines and the airports. And so, maybe to conclude, I think because of you all on the call, because many of you share your experiences, and you kind of help us communicate this value that we create together, called trust and a great experience. Airlines and airports are really interested in now getting to that next level. So more airports, and that even bleeds into transportation because many of them are connected. And so I'm, among other things, I'm excited about landing more airports, both in the U.S. and outside the U.S. And it's just great to be in 2022.
Wow, what a great segue, Troy, because we have a new access partner in the airport space, and that is the Edmonton International Airport in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. All right, celebration for our Canadian friends. We have now 4 airports in Canada, and I expect that we're probably going to have a few more by, the end of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So awesome. Well, now for tonight's topic, we know you've all come for the announcement at the end, but now for tonight's big topic, and that is our COVID promotion and COVID at-home rapid antigen testing, which there has been a lot of talk about this topic, and we'll take you through a little history. So in late March of 2021, we designed our COVID vaccine promo. And originally, we set that up because people were having such a difficult time with the vaccine websites to register, to get their vaccines, to find out information about numbers of cases in their local areas, things like that. So we gave folks one call of up to 30 minutes per day. And people took advantage of that very nicely and were able to use that to get their vaccines and get registered and things like that. And then we saw the use of that fall off over the summer, but still, that actually was very important for people, for example, in Australia and New Zealand, because they had a lot of difficulty getting actual vaccines into their country. So they still really needed us and the promo. So we kept the promo going, but then we started to see in September, October, that it really hit in November when more and more of the at-home test kits became available. The people were calling in and saying, we really need help with these kits because, as anyone knows who has had to take one of these at-home tests, there is absolutely nothing accessible about any of these, I don't think. There is little accessible information, none that comes with the test. And so calling an agent to help you work with the test materials was really important. And so we decided to reconstruct our promo a little bit. We broadened it, and now it is called the Aira COVID Promotion. It covers 30 minutes per day in as many calls as you need. And the reason that we changed that was that some of the tests, many of them in fact, require a little bit of a waiting period before you see the results. So you'll need to call back. So you will have 30 minutes a day to use for things like COVID, getting the test, figuring out where to get them, how to get them, actually taking the test, getting the results, and then also getting, and this is on top of all the other things that are covered in the promo, but also getting photos of your test results and getting those submitted to different places that you may need to submit those test results to. So Sandy, I'd like to talk, if you can talk a little bit about what we have up on our website now regarding these, because we have a really nice PDF up there that I would love you to talk about, because you worked with our agents and we all worked on this PDF. And could you tell folks a little bit about that?
Thank you. I would be happy to. So we have a web page about the COVID promotion. And of course, I'm not going to be able to think of the URL right this second, but I will.
Never fear, I will give it at the end.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's why we're a good team. So the piece that Janine's talking about is called Tips for Testing. And it's an accessible PDF that you can download. It should be screen reader friendly. And it steps you through everything to think about and potentially prepare and materials to gather before you make a call to an agent to work through taking your at-home test. So everything from being seated at a clean workspace, gathering perhaps a baking sheet or a bowl with low sides to put all of the pieces from the kit in so nothing accidentally rolls off of your workspace, washing your hands before you start, having tissues nearby at the risk of sounding impolite. Some of the kits ask you to clear your nasal passages before you take your sample. And then it talks you through familiarize yourself with all of the pieces as you work with your agent and your agent reviews the kit instructions. Familiarize yourself with the size and the shape and the feeling of each of the pieces so that when you actually begin to follow the instructions, it's all familiar. And it's written in, I think, pretty clear language and step-by-step logical from setup all the way through to when you're complete with your agent and what you can ask of him or her about getting images of the test results, labeled, dated with your name so that you have that documentation. And we put a good deal of thought into it. Janine and I actually stepped through this process kind of role playing. Janine as the explorer and Sandy as the agent, and then bounced it off of Joshua, the fellow who's leading our agent services organization, bounced it off of a couple of the agents on his team so that we could bring you something that was as useful, as practical as possible. So when you make that call and you connect you are as educated as we can make you to work through the process smoothly and efficiently. So I encourage you to go grab that and take a read. And then certainly if anybody has feedback, ideas on other tips and techniques, we're all ears. We would love to hear those. But
Absolutely.
We're finding sort of the end of calls that agents let us know about, obviously not sharing anything that's specific to the call, but just very general. I did a test with someone, it was this kit and here's what I learned, or I did a test with somebody and it was this kit and here's what I learned. And we're just continuing to populate our knowledge base. So as more and more of you get in touch with agents for that assistance with an at-home test, we're just a wealth of knowledge.
Absolutely. Yeah, and a couple of the things that I personally have learned, because I got to play with a couple of these tests. They were expired tests, and they were ones that I had gotten from our health department, actually, to play with and look and see exactly how we would go through this process. So one of the things that I learned was the swabs for many of these tests come on really long sticks. And I found that as a totally blind person, I'm pretty well coordinated, but boy, 6 inches is a long way away when you're trying to put something up your nose, not to be indelicate. So you might want to be able to grip that particular stick of the swab at a point that's a little bit closer to the swab part, as long as you don't touch that cotton. It's a lot easier to control. And then probably the number one thing, and this goes for any Aira interaction, is make sure that you have good lighting before your call. I know many of us who are totally blind, light is kind of that afterthought. And we realize when our agent says, could you turn on the light, please? That we have maybe not adequate lighting where we are. So having good lighting is really important. Being able to prop your phone up at an angle to be able to get the photo of you as you are doing the test with the various implements there in the test. That's also important. And now let me say verbally the website where you can find all this great information. And that is www.aira.io/Aira-COVID-promotion. And Aira is spelled AIRA. So that's aira.io/Aira-COVID-promotion. And we put that up in the chat. So if you want to save the chat, but we will also have that in the show notes for the podcast and also in let's see, we'll put it there, and we will also have it in the transcribed version. That's where I was heading with that.
And Janine, sorry to interrupt you. I'll just pop in and say, and we can put the link to it in the newsletter that goes out toward the end of the week also.
Yes, that will definitely be coming out. And toward the end of the week, again, you'll get our monthly newsletter, which is going to have a lot of this information. We also understand that in the United States now, you can order test kits. You can get 4 of them per physical address in the United States. And we're not sure exactly which kits they're going to be. And I'm sorry, I didn't get the name of this kit prior to the call. We jokingly call it the Lollipop Kit because when you have finished the test and you have the sample stick in where it's supposed to be with the reagent material and you're waiting on the test results, it folds up and the stick becomes like a lollipop stick. And so it looks like a giant lollipop, actually. And that's kind of our slang name for it. That is definitely not the name that it actually properly has. And that particular test kit has
There are 4 individual rapid antigen COVID-19
yes.
tests.
But they don't say specifically which kind. Now, this particular kit, the one that we're talking about, which I'm sorry, we'll get the name of that for you, but it seems to be the easiest one to use because you don't have to put the swab into a small vial or container of liquid. You pour the liquid into a specific place on the test kit, and then you put the swab into that specific place, twirl it around, and close the box. And so that's much, much easier than having to drip certain amounts of things onto a place and then read the results. The other thing that we are finding is that there are different times from, within which you need to read those test results. So we are also suggesting that you have some sort of a timer there with you, whether that is your phone, whether that is a watch, etc. So we are recommending that you have a timer because usually you will need to wait from 5 to 15 minutes for the test to percolate, as we say. And then you will need to read the results within 5 minutes of that time period ending, or the agent dries on the paper, literally. And so you're not going to see the results. But we will go ahead and put those links in the chat again for the website. And we're also going to I will put another one up here for the test site for the US, where you can actually order your test kits, and an agent can help you with this site. It's extremely accessible, but if you need help, or if you just feel you'd be more efficient doing it with an agent, they can absolutely help you under the promo. Well, I'm putting those links up again, though. I would love, Troy, we are going to be involved in some advocacy with some of the organizations that are working toward making these tests more accessible. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So as we all know, I think we know, those tests really require, they're visual tests. Like, we'll look at the lines on this strip, assuming I get it correctly administered, it's not accessible. And so, I think, I was talking to Mark Riccobono this morning, and I know ACB is encouraging others to raise their voice, but right now those tests that we're getting for free from the government in particular, or funded by the government, either way, are not accessible. And so the question, it's great to have Aira to support an inaccessible experience, but how can we, and when I say we, I mean collectively, whether that's the government that makes the test, whether that's Aira, whether that's NFB, but how can we create an accessible test, right? And it's not for me to, I have a couple ideas, but that's not where it's going to come from. Like, it's going to be a collaboration. And while that nothing has been started, nothing has really concretely done, I think that's the challenge that we collectively face. And we're here to both collaborate and then help share what's not accessible, although fundamentally, it doesn't even take a rocket scientist. It doesn't take anyone to realize this. It's a visual only test. So a lot of words to say, what can we do, A, to get tests that are accessible, and then B, given it's a government provided test, as government website, I think there's an extra onus on the government, the administration to look at that and drive the creators of the tests to do that. Gosh, I used a lot of words for that, that's what's going on.
It's a big piece to bite off.
Mm-hmm. And it's Sandy, everybody. I'll just pop in and add to what Troy said, without any specifics, because it's premature to share specifics. We're having some conversations with folks in other countries about how we can provide support in the same vein. So places and people who are familiar with Aira and trust us and trust our agents, inquiring about the same. How can we support rapid at-home test taking for the same problem? Because the kits. Doesn't matter where you are, they're all inaccessible. So as we obviously, it goes without saying, as we formalize any of that, we'll communicate with all of you.
And I see here that Ryan has posted an 800 number if you don't
I did, but I
accidentally
sent it to hosts and panelists and not everyone. Oops. So let me fix that.
All righty.
If you don't have a computer, or if you're just calling on the phone, I'll read this out. You can also call 800-232 0233, and you can order your COVID test over the phone instead of using the website. Those 4 at-home tests.
And Ryan, I just shared the number in the chat with
You're
everybody.
brilliant. Thank you.
So to recap in the chat, there's the URL for our Aira COVID promotion page, and on that page is a link to the tips for testing accessible PDF. There is a link to the US government site where you can order tests, and then the telephone number for the same purpose to be able to call and place that order. And again, and I realize I'm repeating myself, but it's intentional. As we gather and learn more, not just about what's happening in the States, but what's happening in other countries, we'll add another section to that same webpage, Aira-COVID-promotion. Maybe we'll put just an info section and add these other URLs and phone numbers there.
And I believe that you can scroll. We have had someone ask in the chat how to scroll
I think
through the chat.
you had the same restriction I did. I think yours is only going to panelists too.
Okay, well, fantastic.
Sandy's the lifesaver today.
Okay, well.
I'm the scribe. I'm the scribe for tonight.
You're going to be the scribe. Okay.
Yep, you're the scribe.
That's it. That's appropriate. Yes. All righty. Meanwhile, I will fix my particular thing here.
I fixed mine too.
Before we take questions from everyone, let me do our segment before the big announcement. And this is the segment about rules of the road. And these are just some things that pop up from time to time that we like to remind you about. And of course, that first one, and these are for using the service, effectively getting the most out of your call, and also remembering some of our terms of service. So the first thing, of course, was back with the test kits. Remember your lighting. Consider lighting, because even though your phone's flashlight can sometimes get the job done, it can also work against you, especially if what you're trying to read is shiny. The glare off the flashlight can sometimes be difficult. So some ambient lighting is always good to help your agent, and your agent can tell you very nicely how to set that, if they need that, and how to get that going. The next thing is one that we like to remind you of every now and then. Because of certain laws about streaming in public restrooms, we are not able to assist you in a public restroom. And if you call us within a public restroom, we'll have to disconnect even a family restroom. And this is because there are state laws that prohibit streaming in public restrooms. And we don't want anyone to get in trouble. We especially don't want to get in trouble, but we don't want you to either for streaming. Now, that said, believe me, we understand, especially Ryan and I, that public restrooms are sometimes the most frustrating places to navigate, just because they're all laid out differently. Where things are located is often, a mystery. But unfortunately, due to legal reasons, we are not able to help you there. So your agent will disconnect a call, or they will turn on privacy mode. And you can find privacy mode if you're in a call. You can go to, it's just below the middle of your screen. If you swipe from the middle of your screen, swipe to the right with one finger on your iPhone. I think it's probably similar for Android.
Similar on the Android,
Yep. And you'll find that privacy button, and that is going to turn off the audio and video for the agent. And you can always do that if you're only going to be in there for a few minutes, or then you can.
Just a reminder that does not pause your minutes, though. So if you go in privacy mode, it does not pause your minutes. So
yep, your minutes are still going to count.
Because you can't hear the agent, you still.
Yep. And so it may be a better option to actually go ahead and, hang up the call and call back again then whenever you are finished and you're outside. So thank you all for your chat messages about the New Year's coverage. New Year's was so much fun. Apparently, I was.
We had a party.
Otherwise engaged, but you guys were partying, and
we had a party. Like we went for. I think the in total between all 5 streams was like 5 hours. Like it was pretty crazy. to overview, we did the Australian fireworks in the morning.
Oh
which,
my goodness, that
Sydney
sounded
Harbor
like fun.
fireworks was amazing. We did of course, Imagine and did.
Yes, we did, Ray Campbell. We partied like it was
we did
1999. You bet.
of course, Imagine and the New Year's New York ball drop, and then we did some country music New Year's, and we went and did the musical note drop for the Central Time Zone. We were kind of sad at you mountain people. You guys were really difficult to find New Year's for. We need to figure that out next year. But Pacific Time Zone, you pulled it together with your Disneyland fireworks for New Year's Eve. We got the Disneyland New Year's Eve fireworks, and they were absolutely beautiful. And wonderful. So thank you everyone who got to join us, and that perfect segue, guys. Like,
yes, thank you so much to
so thank you
Ryan
guys
and
so
the agents who made that happen.
I want to shout out to those agents. Like, you guys, you guys are great. But
so we are returning our Afternoon at the Museum series, which I know a lot of you were very fond of. We are returning that series in January, and what we're going to do one each month. And in January, we are featuring one of our best of Afternoon at the Museum shows, and that is our trip to the National Civil and Human Rights Center in Atlanta. And that you can access again through our website, or you can go to our YouTube channel where we have an Afternoon at the Museum playlist. So you can watch them all if you want. But we do have on the website a new space where you can look at those. And if you go to, we'll make it really simple. If you go to our newsroom and you see our Martin Luther King Jr. Day article and a blog post by Agent Amanda, there's a link at the bottom of that where you can go to our Afternoon at the Museum page. So that's January. But Ryan Bishop, what's going on in February for our special live event?
Well, I'm really happy. First of all, let me just say that to bring live events to Aira, and I'm not going to take credit for this one because it wasn't my idea, but Janine and Sandy brought it. And so I have a question. Who likes puppies? Because
doesn't like puppies. Okay.
On February 13th, we are starting our morning off on Animal Planet. We are going to be describing with visual interpretation the entire Puppy Bowl. I am so excited for that, and that is why I made the comment earlier about the fun of the agents that are going to get to do that, because I don't think you guys understand. Like, our agents love animals. Like, if you show our agents animals, they have, we have to get Joshua to talk about the limb rule at some point. It's a funny rule, but our agents love animals. But then after that, we will also not end there. We will continue our coverage of said events and move on to the February 13th big game, where we will do the beginning of the game. So we'll do the beginning, the coin toss, the
pre-game
national
entertainment
anthem,
starts
pre-game
at
entertainment
3 p.m. Eastern Time.
We will not be doing the game description itself, but we will do the halftime show. So the Zoom will stay open. You'll get the halftime show. And so I'm super excited to be able to bring all of that to you guys. And really, I'll throw this out here again, since we have so many of you here. I'm more than happy to bring events to people. So if you guys have an event, a big event like this that you would like done, please feel free to send them to support@aira.io. Especially if you're in other countries, guys. Like, I'm more than happy to cover
we would love
multi-country
to do
events too. So if you guys have them, please bring them in, and we'll do them.
So I just sorry, Janine, may I pop in for a split second?
That's okay. Pop in. We have some conversations in our chat panel here. Let's go and Talk about them a little bit.
Oh, sure. Some of us are lamenting over our NFL teams, our
Oh
big
my
games,
goodness. And we Packer fans are like waving our arms and dancing and things.
That's right. But my pop in was about the Puppy Bowl and the big game. We'll just keep referring to it as the big game. So obviously, we'd love for all of you to register and join us. Equally as important, tell your friends, your network,
Please tell your
your
friends.
colleagues,
Yes.
Yes. your cohorts, however you want to describe your circle. You don't need to be an explorer. Of course, we would like everybody to be an explorer. You don't need to be an explorer. You can register and join us anyway, and then have a great opportunity to hear, see, feel what visual interpreting is all about with these incredible examples, the Puppy Bowl and those couple of features of the big game. So again, spread the word. Janine will cover all the places. Oh, sorry about the background noise in my house. Janine will cover all the places where, sorry, I just completely lost my point of thought.
Where you can register for that.
Where you can find the information and register, but we encourage you to share it broadly.
And while we're on this topic, we did receive a question from Rachel S., who wants to know why we won't describe the big game, so the game itself.
This is a good question. And the reason that we won't is we are not sportscasters. And describing a football game, as we found out the year that we did it with Greg Stilson, it's really tough. You need to really be a professional sportscaster. And there are a number of great radio-based sportscasters that do a wonderful job of describing, play-by-play, color commentary, all of that. And so that's primarily why we are not describing the game itself.
We will have the audio. I'll say that. We will have the audio and the video
will be there
on the Zoom. So it will be on Zoom. If you just won't get description, but you'll get the audio and video if you're on Zoom. So if you can't watch it on your TV, or if you don't have TV, it'll be on the Aira Zoom.
It will be there. And I know what most people do is they get their favorite radio sportscaster and they tune them in. Especially if you are a fan of one of the teams, you'll have a local person or team that will be doing it. And it'll be fantastic. Trust me. I hear the Packers have a great radio guy, according to my sister, who's a just
I've heard they
lifetime
do actually.
Packer
I've
fan.
heard that.
So
I've heard their radio
he's
guys.
amazing. And we have that confirmed by Mr. Ray Campbell. So, yay. But that is why we will not be doing the game itself, but we'll be doing those parts of the game that, we can do and we have the expertise in, which is describing.
Janine, I should mention that if people want to listen to the winning broadcast, they should go on iHeartRadio and they can listen to, the San Francisco broadcast. I'm just saying,
I see. I see.
Try.
KNBR 680 will be carrying, if you want to hear the.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
Or if you like a sad story, you can listen to the Packer version.
Let the trash talk begin, folks.
There we go. It gets violent here at Aira. So we're going to take a question from Krista Janik. I can't. I'm sorry. COVID test. How on earth do you take a 6-inch nose swab as a blind individual without making your nose sinuses bleed?
Yes. Well, let me tell you. The stick is about 6 inches long, but the actual part that you put in the very front part of your nose is about as long as a regular Q-tip swab. So it's maybe, half an inch maybe? If that. And that part is not so long. It's the big old stick that they give you to get it in there. That's the part that's difficult. So luckily, these aren't the PCR tests that go all the way up your nose into your brain. No, definitely not. But these are much easier. So you're just going to go around on the inside of your nose, similar to what you might do with the Q-tip with a little one. So, that's luckily no sticks up your nose. Thank you. My goodness, you guys are
Let's see,
trash
Thanos,
talking here in the chat. This is
you
beautiful.
are talking about the Olympics. I would love to do the Olympics.
Ooh.
I will probably do the
Mhm.
opening ceremony of the Olympics.
Well, I may do that as an Ira Live event, right?
The opening
You just may
ceremony
do
for
that
the
on your own,
Olympics.
huh?
I don't know. The opening ceremonies are pretty big. I won't
Oh, but
probably do
love the
any
opening
of the
ceremonies.
actual, I can see us doing that as an event. I won't do any of the actual, Olympic matches. That's mainly because you can't cover them all.
Yeah, I would be curious to see, given the amount of audio description there was this summer for both the Olympics and the Paralympics.
Yeah, there was,
I'm
though. They
pretty
brought
excited.
it.
Oh, someone asked if we will describe the Super Bowl commercials. And we are intending to have a special for you that we will record the day after and make that available to you with an agent and myself and Ryan looking at those Super Bowl commercials. So we
I'm
probably
sure you'll get
won't
them. I mean, I'm
describe them.
sure. I'm
Yeah,
sure if there's a
but
funny one, we'll mention it. But I mean,
we may
yeah, well, the
at
next
the
day.
time, but we're going to do one the next day where we look at them all and we go over them all and we look at the popular ones and whatnot, because we know there will be some that you'll definitely need some description for.
Oh, I'm sure.
Every year. And I always love the Budweiser one because I love the Clydesdales. So, that's always one of my favorite ones.
We have
So
Fados
definitely
is excited for the Puppy Bowl, so I'll be glad
Yay!
to do that. We have
and the kitty halftime
Liz.
show will be covering that. So kittens on the beach. Oh, my heart.
We have what do you suggest that we prop the phone on so the agents can see our COVID at-home tests?
Very good question.
Sure. So Janine,
Yeah.
I can pop in with this one, but
Go for it.
But before I answer the other than perhaps a phone stand, I have an idea. But before I answer that, someone posted "sounds horrifying" as the comment. I'm thinking it was in response to the description about the swab, the stick and the swab.
Yes.
First person account, having taken one of these, it's far, far less invasive than the one that everybody tells you is horrible and makes you see stars, so to speak. It's not invasive. And it's not uncomfortable. So I guess I declare it's not horrifying. Okay, with that behind us. So one of the pairs of people I had the opportunity to sort of walk through this with, to help write these instructions. The Explorer used a box. It happened to have been from a Cuisinart blender. So if anybody has, and obviously the brand doesn't matter, but if you think about the size and shape of a blender and a box with similar dimensions, you get about the right height for the phone to sit on top of that box, just sort of hanging, the lip hanging over the edge with the camera facing down toward the table where you'd be manipulating the test pieces. And it worked. There was bright lighting, as Janine mentioned earlier, that having lighting for the agent is helpful / necessary. There was a really good view for the agent to see everything the Explorer was doing or needed to do. And the only time the Explorer had to adjust that camera position was at the very, very end, after the sample, I'll just say, had cooked, for lack of a better word, or the reagents were able to react, and the agent was reading the result. Then we wanted the phone camera to be a little bit closer so the agent could see. What happens is a line, every kit's a little bit different, but for the most part, you could say a line in a certain color appears to indicate positivity, or a line doesn't appear, or a line in a different color to indicate negativity. So that was the only time that the Explorer needed to move his phone so the agent could see the actual results on the test. Just one other detail about this, just in the spirit of familiarizing everybody, the little tray. So Janine described this Lollipop Kit earlier. So think of maybe like a giant sized matchbook that opens, and the swab that you've run around the inside of your nose lays into a crevice that's designed for it to lay into, and then the matchbook closes. So the other form of test is there's a little tray that has indentations in it, and they refer to it as a cassette. So not a cassette like you would have inserted a radio cassette. It's a little bit smaller than that, but it's often referred to as a cassette. So back to the point about the propping up the phone, the only time the agent had to ask the Explorer to move the phone was to see the results on that little cassette.
And we actually had another question here from Ray, which I have forgotten because I was looking at something
Ray
else. Sorry
asks,
about
is
that.
it better to use the back-facing camera or the front-facing camera? Ray, we only support today the back-facing camera.
Yep.
So,
which would be the better one to use anyway. For lighting purposes, and what you're going to prop it up on should be about 6 to 8 inches above. I actually used, I was trying to grab things, and I grabbed 2 boxes of dishwashing detergent and laid them flat on the table on top of each other, and that made a nice stable surface for my phone to stay on.
Go. That's a good one.
Yeah. So Amazon boxes, whatever you've got. Yeah.
Should we grab some hands?
Yeah, let's grab some hands. We've
let's
stack
grab
of books.
some hands. All right. So let's start with. Let's see if we can get Cindy's iPhone. Let's see what the iPhone has to say.
Yeah. Hey,
hello.
Cindy's iPhone.
How you doing?
Hello there.
Good evening, everyone. I am just wanting to say how happy and excited I am that the Edmonton International Airport has been included. I am just ecstatic.
Hey.
Oh, are you in Edmonton, Cindy?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Oh, how exciting. Yay. Well, we are
So yeah, I
happy
kind of posted yay EIA to you guys, but
it's funny because the A-Lady device pronounces it yay. When I asked what the airport code was, it said yay, and I thought it was YAY because most of the Canadian airports start with Y. I thought, what a great airport code, and I have since learned differently. However, it's still a good airport code.
yeah,
So
it's
that is
actually stands for
fantastic.
Edmonton International Airport. So.
Yep, and they are live as of last Saturday. So anytime you go, yeah.
Hey.
That's
And we
good to
hope
know.
you
Thank you.
definitely enjoy it.
Well, thank
Rob.
you. All right, let's hear from. How about we hear from Larry?
How about hello, Larry?
And my dog
And
will
you
sigh
will
very
get-
loudly. There you go.
Okay, this is Lorraine.
Oh,
I'm so
Ray,
sorry.
I'm so sorry about that.
That's okay. I'm used to it. And this may not be it might be off topic or whatever. You mentioned using an expired test kit. How long do these kits? How long? I mean, if I were to order a kit, say I were to order a kit and have it sent to me, and it takes 10 or 12 days to get it, and I don't have COVID right now, so it would be a good time to order one. But how long do they last?
They will have an expiration date on the package, which is a good thing to know. I did not realize that, but they do have the date right on the package. So you will want to check that when you get your kit. Your agent can tell you when that date is, when it expires. Different kits have different expiration dates. I'm not sure exactly how long they are. It's a fair amount of time. The ones I was using were from September, so and they had not been around very long. So
I'm curious about these ones that they're shipping 4 of. Like, you think that if they're sending you 4, they'd give you a good expiration date on them. But I'd be curious
You would
to
think
see
so.
what
I think they're good for a fair amount of time. But again, the expiration date is there on the package, and the agent can check that out for you so that you know exactly if you need to use them. And I don't know about their policy for replacing them if you don't need them during that time frame and they do expire.
All right, we are going to
Great
hear
question,
from.
though.
Let's hear from Brent.
All right. Hello, Brent.
Looks like Brent's still getting himself unmuted. So while Brent is getting himself unmuted.
There we go.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
There we are. Hello there, sir.
Okay.
Yay. Hey, I was going to say, I remember you, Janine, because you helped me get stuff squared away with the Bose frames and the glass.
Yes. I thought that name looked familiar. There we go.
Again. Well, first of all you football fans, you're all going down because how about them Chiefs?
Oh, my goodness.
You can't get away without a Chiefs getting there.
Oh, my goodness, no.
But my question was, it was actually about the football. I'm kind of, it's too bad that you're not describing the football game. I know that the broadcasters will say things like he's to the 25, the 20 or so, but they don't really describe things like what the different formations look like. I mean, what's a shotgun formation look like? What's an I formation look like? What's a pocket?
Ryan, we may have to do a visit to the Football Hall of Fame, which is about 2 hours from where I live.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to. I think you just want an excuse to go on a trip, but I know.
I was going to say, I think there should be a road trip.
Right? But no, I think that's a good idea because I would agree there, Brent. Like I think I'm a big football fan here too, and I think I've watched it too, and I've always wondered certain things like that. So that's a good point.
What's a blitz? That's another.
We may have to do a little pregame ourselves, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Maybe maybe we can do that. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, let's see if we've got on deck that can handle that one. That's an interesting idea.
I can answer what a blitz is. It looks like this. It's like when all the 49ers get past all the defensive or all the offensive linemen and they get to the quarterback all at the same time. That's called a blitz when they send all the players.
Oh, listen to this.
Oh, they all line up in a straight line and just run at it?
It's most of the defensive players, instead of waiting to cover someone, just blindly run in and try and get the quarterback. So it's
they all attack gang up on the quarterback.
Yeah, it's a bit of a gamble though. Yeah, you're gambling.
I bet it looks like an awesome pileup.
And notice you said 49ers.
Unless you're the guy.
Did I say that?
Unless you're the guy they're after.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right. Well, let's hear from Renee.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, Renee. How are you this evening?
Oh, I'm great. And I really, really, really like Aira. I think it's worth every penny that I pay for and more. And the agents are just wonderful. My question is on a completely different topic. My husband and I have a joint account. Mm-hmm. And there was a situation where my husband wasn't with me and I needed to purchase extra minutes. And I would like to see, when a person sets up an account like that, if there can be some sort of permission given so that, and I understand why that could be, because my husband is the main person on the account and we're sharing the account. But I couldn't get anything done until he got to the phone and said yes, that he would approve the purchase of more minutes. And I'd like to see some kind of a permission thing.
He can tell. So if you guys call customer care and you if I can word correctly today, if he calls customer care, he can actually ask them to put a note on his account that you can call yourself and have those additional minutes purchased. And if he specifically asks for that permission and says, that you guys are primary and secondary users on the account, and that if you call in, you have the ability to purchase, they can make a note on his account, and then going forward, you'll be able to do that.
Yeah, we think we did ask about that. I'm not sure if that got done or not. I just wanted to mention it. But yeah, I really do enjoy the service. I use it for everything. If he drops his hearing aid or he loses a pill, something, anything. I mean, there's a lot of uses for it. So I really, and I hope, I think the one thing that we miss is the glasses. I know that that got discontinued, but that was really great for having hands free. And so I don't know if you're going to be doing that anymore, having the glasses, that you used to have.
Not directly from us, but we will be looking at third-party alternatives in the future that may support that, or that will support Aira. Third-party devices. So you think other company manufacturers who would support glasses that would support our app. So, but we won't do any equipment manufacturing ourselves anymore for
no,
glasses.
And I understand that. Yeah, we miss he misses the glasses. I like the lanyard idea. I put the phone in the lanyard. As far as having the phone on a stand or standing it up, are there phone stands out there that you can just put the phone in? Because when you were
talking
just
about at home?
Yeah, yes. For the at-home testing, you put I mean, I don't understand how you would put the phone propped up on a box to.
So what you would do, because this one was something I didn't understand either, Renee, until I actually did it. But what you will do is you will lay the phone flat on a box or something to prop it up a bit, and you'll lay it face down with the back part of the phone resting on the box, and then you'll slide it out so that back-facing camera is facing down toward the table that you're working on. And so it just gets that camera up off the table, but in a place where the agent can see your hands. Because at first I was thinking, I'm going to prop the phone up, like in portrait mode, horizontal or vertically.
Yeah.
No, you're actually going to lay it down,
screen
up toward
on
the
its
ceiling.
back, screen. Yep. Like you're laying it on your table to charge it at night.
Yep. And then the agent can actually see your hands and actually, let you know where things are in the kit. And they will help you also. They can tell you, okay, that's not quite high enough, or that's a little too high. So they can actually help you. And I grabbed a bunch of things before I got started, just in case I didn't have it high enough, or I was a little too high, or something like that. So I had a bunch of things ready to go.
See, we are at the top of the hour.
Helped. I think we are at the top of the hour. If anyone has any more questions about COVID testing, you can always email them to support@aira.io. We'll be happy to answer what we can. Also, we have our website, which is aira.io/aira-covid-promotion. And again, Aira is spelled A-I-R-A. You can also, in the case of Renee's question, you can also text. And we have a number of text numbers for our customer care. You can text them a question. And those numbers are all at aira.io under the Contact Us area down at the bottom of the page, right, Sandy? Sandy is our web guru.
aira.io/contact-US is the page.
Wow, I'm so impressed.
Right.
Well,
Ryan is right. Ryan is right. Yes. And there's on the top of the homepage navigation, if you just said this, forgive me, I was just answering somebody's question in the Q&A. Top of the homepage, top navigation to the very far right is a button that says Contact Us, or the URL that Ryan just shared.
Awesome. And You know what time it is. Time for the Braille calendar. Da, 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 da. It is February 2022 for our next call, and it will be on the 16th, Wednesday the 16th.
Hey, that is the week of our Puppy Bowl broadcast. Look
Ooh,
at
so
that.
we will be recovering from our Puppy Bowl big game broadcast. Hopefully we were not blitzed by either puppies or the Packers. Ha ha. And we will be with you then. And who knows what we'll have in store. Our March afternoon at the museum is going to be the Shed Aquarium in Chicago.
I love that
so
museum.
Yes, we are. I love that museum too. That's on my bucket list when I make my Chicago trip here soon. So absolutely. But join us next time. This will be on our podcast feed probably by Friday. So you can point all your friends and let them know. And again, questions, comments, Aira.io is where you can find all of our, Aira.io/contact-us, or click the link and in the banner at the top of the page. All righty, well, until next time, I'm Janine Stanley here with Ryan Bishop.
Oh,
he's gearing up. He's gearing up for the Puppy Bowl.
Thank you guys. It's been a pleasure. Looking forward to seeing everyone on the 13th for our big broadcast.
And we have Sandy Marcus.
Thank you, everybody, for having me. It was a pleasure, and I'll be with the gang next month.
All right, and our CEO, Mr. Troy Attilio.
Good evening, Lynn. Great hearing from you all, and I hope it's a great game. All the games are good. That's all we hope for is entertainment, right? And thanks for entertaining me as the sole Niner fan. Thank you.
I was going to say, and then that Soccer World Cup is coming, and look out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. We will